Joining me now is Tyler Diamond, who will fight for the vacant featherweight title at the next LFA show against Rafael Barbosa. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's been a long time, as I mentioned before we went live. It's good to talk to you again, and I'm happy to see you back in the win column. I know the last couple of fights it must have been a little frustrating for you, not used to experiencing losses. So, just tell me first off, how important was it for you to put on a dominant performance and get that unanimous decision victory over Jon Neal?
Man, it was super important. I needed that win really, really bad. I wish I would have finished him. Had a couple opportunities where I could have capitalized possibly, but it was a good win nonetheless. I mean, like I said, I really needed that, and it took me a while to fight again. Not really by choice. I didn't really plan on holding out that long. Um, right after my UFC debut loss, I was ready to go again the next week, but I was kind of waiting on the UFC. They were kind of dragging their feet in terms of like whether they're going to cut me or not, and they finally cut me like a month and a half, 2 months later. And so then I tried getting a regional fight as quickly as possible. Was having a very hard time finding someone to accept a fight. Then when I finally did, I was going to fight Tyson Griffin actually for a Tachi Palace fight, and they end up canceling the whole card. Tried fighting for LFA a few different times. Tried fighting for him in February and March and April, and then I finally had Jon Neal accept the fight in May and got that win and got back in the win column, which is super important. And here we are now.
What is your mindset right now? Obviously, you were right on the doorstep of signing, maybe a 3-4 fight deal in the UFC and really being where you want to be. Unfortunately, you had a couple of those setbacks. Where are you right now? How's your confidence as you're moving forward?
Oh man, I'm still confident as ever when you train with the guys that I train with on a daily basis. How can you not be confident? I mean, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail, but like, man, everyone's so tough, and they prepare me very well for anything in there. Yeah, I had a couple setbacks. I was so confident going into the show that I was going to win it. Things don't always pan out how they should. It didn't. So I didn't win it. And here we are with a really good opportunity to win the LFA belt and hopefully get signed right back on, get something going there. I'm super excited for the opportunity. Rafael Barbosa is a super tough opponent. I take him very seriously. It's made me train harder than ever for this thing, and I'm just excited for it.
Now, obviously, when you do experience a setback, I got to imagine that it must drive you even more to get in the gym and to get better. What did you learn from those two losses, and how do you feel you're better now versus the old Tyler Diamond?
With the loss against Jay, no disrespect to Jay at all, but I'm a lot better than that guy. I beat myself. I came out guns a-blazing thinking I can finish anyone, and you can't finish everyone when you want. You got to find your openings, and instead of finding the openings, I was trying to create them, and sometimes things don't work out when you do that. So lost fair and square to him, but I really beat myself in that. And then, man, against Bryce, I underestimated Bryce a little bit. I trained with him a little bit, and I don't know. I thought he can't hurt me. There's nothing, and he couldn't hurt me, this and that. But I let that fight be too close. I kind of lost my competitive edge because he was my friend, and just not having that feeling of like this guy can really hurt me, So, man, most of the stuff that I've learned beyond the technical aspect is just having a better fight IQ and a better mindset going in. I mean, I've always been good there with my mindset in terms of, being ready to fight, but I've had to tune things up a little bit even more. I can't allow things to be close. Like there's times where I can't rest in fights, and against Bryce, I learned that.
I hear a lot of fighters and coaches in general just talk about how important the mental aspect of the fight game is. And, maybe the casual fan doesn't really realize that. They think it's all physical. You just got to go out there and overpower your opponent. What do you think it is? Do you think it's like 80-20, 90-10? Like, how important is the mental aspect of the game when you go into there, especially fighting at the level you're at?
Yeah, it's hard to put a distinct number on it, but your mentality is everything. If you go in there with the wrong mentality, you've already lost before you've gotten in there, And it's hard. It's hard to be 100% there all the time. There's your mind is a weird thing, But that's the one thing that I've been lucky in my career is that I do have a really good, strong mindset. I've just had to clean up my fight IQ, the adjustments that I make in the cage, and what I need to do to really solidify these wins. There's little things that from a fight IQ standpoint I was doing wrong, and I've had to clean those up. But your mindset is everything, and luckily I wrestled from a young kid on up. Had a lot of wrestling matches, had to face a lot of adversity there, which has given me great practice for MMA in terms of having that never say die attitude and mindset overall.
You've also had a lot of really exciting things going on in your personal life. You most recently got married, so congratulations on.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I've seen a lot of the pictures on social media. What a beautiful couple you guys are, and it's just I'm sure it's an amazing time in your life right now. What has that been like, trying to juggle everything personally with your new wife and just getting the training you need to get done?
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that. This has been the busiest year of my life. Prior to this year, it was MMA full time, full bore, like, 2 practices a day, Monday through Friday. This year has not been like that. It was like that from January to May, but I have another career going that I'm trying to get going that I'll announce once I get that. I'm trying to start a small business right now, which is going to really take off, I think. So between training twice a day, Monday through Friday, from January to May, and that stuff on weekends, I've been super busy. And then after my fight in May, I had to take, from May till August, strictly getting ready for the wedding. Like, it was nuts. Like, I stayed in really, really good shape. I trained like once a day here and there when I could get it in or whatever. And just, I've always ate clean. I live a pretty healthy lifestyle, but man, I've been so busy. But you know what? I like it. I like having things to do. I like having to wake up early and hit the ground running because I got all these things I need to check off my list. And if I don't get going, it won't get done. So, right now is a very, very busy time in the middle of a lot of things, but I enjoy it.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed this summer personally for myself is Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. It gives me something
Heck
to
yeah.
look forward to once a week. And obviously, you're an Ultimate Fighter alum. I'm curious your thoughts on what do you think the better avenue is to make it into the UFC? With Contender Series, if you go in there and you win on that one fight and have a dominant performance, you might get a contract, bam, and then you're right in there. Whereas Tough, you're on a whole season of a show and you have to have multiple fights. It's a little bit harder. Do you wish you would have had the Contender Series option, or are you happy with everything that took place on Tough?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm happy. Like, I can't look back and do the woulda, coulda, shoulda thing. I mean, I should have won that show, but I didn't. But the Contender Series is awesome. You get one shot, and you have one good performance, you could get signed. It's really awesome. It seems like a lot of people love the concept of it. Yeah, I wish I got an opportunity on that. That'd be awesome. I don't know. I don't really like watching it personally because I feel like a lot of these 45ers I could beat up, but they've all gotten their opportunity and they made good on it. So congrats to them.
Is there a 145er that you've seen that's in the UFC that you really have your eyes on, that, maybe once you get back up there and you're in the UFC eventually, which is what I'm sure will happen, is there someone that you have your eyes on that you kind of are aiming for to get in there and tangle with?
Um, I don't have any beef with anyone personally, so As far as like calling out individuals, I couldn't really say, but I would venture to say that I could beat 25% of the UFC roster right now, like without a doubt in my mind, and that's I would say finish 25% of the UFC roster. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the best fighters in the world are there, but they've got a few 45ers. I just kind of scratch my head and wonder, like, how in the heck are they still there, or did they get that chance, whatever. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Everyone that knows you train at one of the best gyms in the world, Team Alpha Male. You just have some monster training partners there. I could run down a whole laundry list of who's there. Who have been your main training partners so far for this camp, and how fresh are you feeling as the fight gets closer?
Well, yeah, first off, I feel fresher now than I've ever felt. Reason being is I usually start my camps. Well, I usually don't have like a specified fight camp. I just train so much and so often. It's like I'm in fight camp year round. If you're at our gym, that's kind of how it is. So I basically trained from December to May for my last fight because I thought I was fighting in February, and I thought I was fighting March and April. So I never got that break. I was just constantly training. My last training camp, I deal with a lot of injuries throughout the whole camp because, you know, your body just kind of breaks down after grinding like that. But, you know, I always thought I was 4 weeks out from a fight constantly, so I never was able to get that break. But this fight, I started my camp at 8 weeks out with no injuries, and now I'm at 4.5. And I've been really lucky. Haven't gotten anything major at all. So that's been nice. But, yeah, like you said, for main training partners, I got a plethora of them. You know, Andre Feely's been a great partner for me as far as emulating Rafael Barbosa. Another kid named Andrew Coyne, who a lot of people don't know of yet, but he's freaking solid, man. He's really good. We got this Russian named Slava, who is another person that people will come to find out who he is very soon. One of the best strikers I've ever experienced. He's amazing. Yeah, I mean, those are just the top three to name a few, but gosh dang, we have so many guys, you know, like, I mean, we had jiu-jitsu last night, 10 5-minute rounds, and I went with a new stud every single round. So there's no shortage of training partners, that's for sure.
You know, when Uriah Faber retired for the first time, I had a sneaky suspicion that he was going to come back. Did you feel the same way? And where's his mindset at right now? Is he feeling like he's going to be around for a couple more years to really make a title run?
Yeah, Faber's funny. I went to that fight against Pickett and Sack too, and I had a feeling too. I'm like, man, I know this guy. He's not done, you know. And he's a smart guy, so he'll know when to call it. But right now, he's still that tough old dude, you know. Like, I don't know. He could fight for another 2-3 years at least if he wanted. You know, he lives such a healthy lifestyle. He's still so talented. Gosh dang, I gotta think he's gonna take it as far as he can, give it one last run, you know. And I certainly think he has the ability to do that.
I see there was some rumblings, a little trash talk between Uriah and Henry Cejudo. What is your overall thoughts on Cejudo as a fighter? Obviously, he's very talented. A lot of people call him the king of cringe. He says and does some rather odd stuff. What are your just thoughts on him as a fighter in general?
As a fighter, he's incredible, and I wish he would just stick to that. I wish he would stick to being an incredible fighter because that's enough. It really is. Like, he's done some amazing things, but as soon as he talks, he loses me, man. Like, gosh dang, dude, I want to be a fan. But man, dude, he makes our sport look terrible. Like, what's up with this intergender crap, you know? Like, I don't know if he's just, like, trying to make fun of liberals or whatever, but, like, I don't know, dude. It's so cringy. I hate it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't like what Colby Covington does. I actually don't mind it quite as much. I feel like he's got a shtick and he's sticking to it. He's not crossing the line and calling out female fighters, which I feel like is just that's where the line is.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre, but you know, there's so many great matchups at 135 or 145 moving forward for a lot of you guys. One of your training partners that I gotta just touch upon as well is Cody Garbrandt. I know he's lost 3 in a row. You know, how is he looking, and where is his head at right now?
I think Cody's one of those guys who just has the mentality. You know, you got guys who just are there, and he definitely has mentality. I think he's fine mentally. He is hurt right now. I just saw him 2 days ago in the gym, and he had like a cast on one of his body parts. I don't know if he wants to go public with it, but he has an injury right now. But I know he's itching to get back in the gym. He'll be fine, man. Like, it doesn't sound good when you say he's got 3 losses in a row, but you know, the first one to TJ, he could have finished that fight. Whatever, things happen. Second one got caught again, you know, and then with Munoz, I don't know. I didn't see that fight, but it sounded like he kind of just went on autopilot there and just kind of went into brawl mode and got caught again, you know. And it's a game of inches, you know, and it can be a 50-50 coin toss when you get in those brawls like that. So, yeah, it sounds bad, but, man, I'm confident he'll be fine and he'll come back and he'll do very well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think most people are expecting him to bounce back 100%. Now let's talk a little bit about this upcoming featherweight title. The title is vacant, so one of you guys will be the new champion for the LFA promotion. Your upcoming opponent, Barbosa, trains with Lyoto Machida, which is, for my money, one of the best strikers I've ever seen. What is your overall thoughts on him as an opponent? And do you feel like he's going to try to keep this on the feet, or stylistically, what kind of a fight do you think this will be?
Yeah, stylistically, it's a super interesting fight. I mean, he's taller, I'm shorter, I'm more of a grappler, he's more of a striker, and he's a very good crisp striker at that. Like, very good straight punches. He's tall, he's long. He's a young kid, but, man, he's super talented. He's gonna have a great career. So I'm excited to fight the guy. I think it's gonna be a freaking war. It's gonna be the fight of my life. Like, it's gonna be the toughest test I've ever had. But I'm ready for it. I've been embracing that. I'm excited for it. And yeah, you know, I mean, I could see me finishing him early, but I could also see it being a 25-minute war, you know. So whatever happens in there, I'm ready. It's nowhere I haven't been before.
What does a win over a tough opponent in Barbosa do for you? Do you feel like this signifies that the UFC will be calling and getting you a contract, or do you think you need to win a couple more before you're going to get right back in their good graces?
No, you know, I think this win should be enough, you know, or I would hope so, right? I mean, I only had one shot in UFC, and arguably a lot of people thought that I won that fight, you know, so I wish they would have given me a second chance, but they didn't. I got one chance. I've gotten a win over an undefeated opponent. Now, if I beat this kid, that should definitely be enough to solidify that I belong, you know, and I don't know. I sure hope.
Now, the fight is October 11th, so it's still a little ways away. What's your weight at right now, and how are the weight cuts been the last couple fights for you?
Oh, my weight is always super good. It's actually a non-issue. I've actually had the opposite problem of a lot of fighters, and that's getting my weight down too low too early. I think my body just knows, man, when I'm getting ready to fight, and it just starts dropping the weight, you know. So I've actually had a problem my last 2 fights putting the weight back on. After I fought Jon Neal, I stepped on the scale. I was 152. But I also didn't feel very good up there in that fight. I don't know what happened. I just had a stomach bug or something. I didn't feel very well. And then same thing with Bryce. The UFC weighs you in after your fight, and I believe I was 52 and a half. So I'm actually having the opposite problem of not being able to put the weight on. So this camp, I'm really focused on eating a lot more and cutting, you know, 10 pounds a night before weigh-ins as opposed to, you know, 6 or 7 or whatever. So I'm trying to stay bigger so I can put more weight on after weigh-ins so that I can actually be a 45er, because at this point, after weigh-ins, I'm like the size of a 35er. You know, I'm not really putting the weight back on. It's kind of weird. So I've been working with some people with that in terms of like, what can I do to be how I used to be and go into the cage 160 pounds and stay as big as possible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, is what would be the optimal weight for you to be after you go in there and make weight? You'd like to get all the way up to 160 and put on 15 more pounds.
Yeah, I'd like to be 58 to 60. That's kind of my optimal weight, which is what I'm about right now. I think about 158 to 160 pounds. To be honest, I haven't weighed myself all camp. I don't need to. Like, I make weight, no problem. I know it'll come off. There's no reason to stress about it. So I can just tell what I weigh by looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm about 158 to 160 pounds right now.
Sounds like you're right where you need to be here moving forward. Now, as you alluded to earlier, Tyler, this might be the toughest test of your career, and the LFA promotion is one of the best in the country regionally. You know, you obviously got UFC, Bellator, PFL. LFA is right there, so this is a monster fight. A lot of eyes are going to be on this matchup. Give me an official prediction. How do you get your hand raised? How are you going to get the win?
How I'm going to get my hand raised, because I'm going to want it more than this kid, you know, like my whole career kind of rides on this fight. It's kind of win or die for me on this. If I were to lose, which I haven't even thought about, I don't know where the heck I would go from that, you know? So I got to win this fight. I just got to go in there and be this kid's big brother. I'm 28 years old. He's 21. He's young. He's tough. He's hungry, but I want it more. I've got more of the competition experience, I would say. 8 amateur fights, 14 professional fights or whatever I've had. So, man, I just got to go in there and make it dirty and want it, and just be who I am. And that's really tough and resilient, and go in there and do the thing.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm happy to see you get back in the win column and move towards your goal, which is eventually getting into the UFC. Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Before we end this, anyone you want to thank or any sponsors you have, the floor is yours.
Man, well, thank you for giving me the platform to talk about my fight. I'm super excited about that, obviously. And then just got to thank my town, Orville, California. I love all you guys. The support you guys give me is great. And then my wife, obviously, she's awesome, does whatever she needs to do to help me succeed. So happy about that.
Well, thank you, my friend. Pleasure talking with you. Stay healthy, get in there, get that win, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.